Hello, I'm George Freestone, and I'm back with another installment in our baseball journey, which is the record of my wife Carol and my visits to each of the 30 different current major league ballparks and a few of those that are obsolete. And just like each and every other installment, I'm going to start by saying a few words about my attire. And today you can see that I have a Phillies t-shirt on, which proudly proclaims them as National League champs in the 2022 season. Well, as a Mets fan, I have some sad news to report. Both the Phillies and the Mets finished the season with a pretty impressive record, a 101 and 61 record, 101 victories. The Phillies finished strong. They won 7 of their last 10 games. The Mets could only muster 5. And so the Mets tied the Phillies record, or more appropriately, the Phillies tied the Mets record as they were faltering a little bit at the end of the season. Well, what that meant is the Phillies had to play a wild card series against San Diego, and they succeeded in losing 2 out of 3 to San Diego. And so their postseason hopes were crushed with that particular postseason series. However, for all you Phillies fans out there, I want to proudly share this t-shirt with you, and it's got some bittersweet memories for me, the Mets fan. You'll notice that I also have a Phillies Liberty Bell cap. That is the cap that I think the Phillies use now with their blue uniforms, which are quite attractive. And I've been holding out to try and acquire this particular cap. And I happened to be at Citizens Bank Park when I took this picture on July 14th, 2024. It was a Father's Day visit that some of our children sponsored for us. Well, it was a great day at the park. But one of the things that I did is I stopped in one of the team stores and located this particular cap. And the cap was marked at $50. Well, I decided I'd take a pause on that I'd go home and see if I could do any better online. Well, I did, and quite better than actually the $50 price. I found online from Walmart this particular Liberty Bell cap, and I will point out that, oh, here we go. You can see the New Era emblem. It's tough with the virtual background, but this indeed came from China. It's got all the appropriate stickers. It's got the New Era stitching on there. And the price that I paid versus the $50 was $17. So with that happy story about thrifty baseball cap procurement, I'm going to move on and start talking about the game. To do that, I'm going to share my desktop. And I will then bring up the slide for Citizens Bank Park. You still get a chance to see me. I'm going to move me over here so you get the date. We've been to Citizens Bank Park actually 3 times. And the first time is not where all these pictures came from, because I didn't take any pictures for that first visit. This is one of the only games that I don't have any pictures from. It's the 2008 game. It was actually July 6th, I think, of 2008. And that game was one that the Mets actually won in 12 innings. The Phils tied the game in the 9th, and the Mets came back with a couple extra runs and won the game 4-2 in the 12th. But I didn't take any photos. The game lasted 4.5 hours. It was a long game. And what made that game special, as the first bullet on the slide indicates, is Carol and I had both our Chicago children and our Philadelphia children at that particular game. And I also think there was quite a large attendance. I think it was around 45,000. And, there was a fair amount of Mets fans in attendance at that particular game as well. The second visit is the one that you have the pictures on this screen from, all except one, and I'll talk about that one in the last bullet a little bit later on. But the second visit to the Citizens Bank Park was also a game with the Mets and the Phillies. But in this game, as you can see in the summary score in the lower right, the Mets came up short. And that's because in this second visit, the Phils, Kevin Frenson, hit a walk-off home run in the ninth inning that won the game by a run. You can see all of the Phillies fans celebrating there. Now, I included a picture in this particular slide of Chase Utley, who played in that 2013 game. I did that for a Philly fan that has been following some of our journey here, and I'm sure she will appreciate me calling out her favorite Philly, Chase Utley. You can see another person that we have here in the lower left is David Wright, the captain for the Mets. He was playing at that time too. What I recall from the game, however, is, as you can see the shadows in the stadium picture in the lower right, is we were on the first base side and we were in the sun as it was an afternoon game and it was really, really hot. But from my wife's perspective, what makes this particular game and date important is it is the day that we first discovered we be promoted, which is what that little document says that I was holding up with my Brooklyn Dodgers cap there and my wife. That document says we would be promoted from being parents to being also grandparents. And so it was a very joyful day for us. And those Philadelphia children are pictured in the center of the center left of the lower portion of this slide. And my son, Patrick, has that Philadelphia ice cream hat that he's wearing at that particular time. So, that was quite a day, quite a memory, and quite a wonderful story to enjoy right there at Citizens Bank. The last thing that I'll say is we have photos from both the second visit on the next to last bullet on this particular slide, as well as from a 2024 visit. Just a few weeks ago, in July, I had a chance to attend the Oakland Athletics playing the Philadelphia Phillies. You can see in the center right of the top of this screen an image that I cropped from the big billboard. It was the Philadelphia City Series that was being celebrated with that particular icon. You can see William Penn on the top of City Hall there, I think. But the reason why it was called the City Series is, I'm sure many of you will recall that the Athletics spent many years playing in Philadelphia as the American League team, playing at Shibe Park and having both some very successful years, but also some years where they were just outright terrible. They had since moved first to Kansas City, then to Oakland, and with time, maybe they'll move also to Las Vegas. We'll see. But that's the recap from the Citizens Bank Park visits that we have made. Stay tuned for future installments. Thank you. And we'll be back with more shortly.